Welcome to the Animus podcast, a weekly podcast focusing on everything Assassin's Creed community, news, and discussion. I'm one of your hosts, Ultimate1231. With me today, as usual, is Aries.
I'm back now.
And McCracKenway.
Hi, Aries.
Okay, and our guest this week is Pixie.
Hi.
Today, we will be discussing Pixie's time in the subreddit, then we'll move on to discussing a little bit of Adewale, and then we're going to go over Chronicles China, because that's coming out on Tuesday. Oh my god. So Pixel, you, from looking through your profile, it seems that you originally came onto the community around August of 2014, would you say?
Making an account, yes, but I've been lurking since Black Flag came out.
Oh yeah. Well, you very quickly, upon making an account, you very quickly became very well known in the community, or at least the subreddit, because of your interview posts. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Well, they were just random thoughts that popped in my head at the time, and they seemed like a fun topic to do, so why not ask questions?
Yeah, they were pretty well. Everyone got a kick out of those, and they were frequently the top posts of the day.
I liked how I capitalized you in almost all those, or one in all those posts.
Yeah.
So, Pixie, as is customary on our podcast, we have to ask you, what is your favorite, or top two, maybe three Assassin's Creed games?
Originally, it was Black Flag. That was my top, followed closely by AC3. But then I got Rogue, and it just topped Black Flag, in my opinion. So it goes Rogue, then it goes Assassin's Creed 4, and then 3. Third
Gotcha.
place.
Cool.
Alright, this week's character discussion is on Adewale, major character in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Born a slave, becomes the Jackdaw's quartermaster alongside McCracKenway. Eventually, sees what Kenway's become and is a bad person, leaves his ass, and actually sees the light before McCracKenway does, becomes an assassin.
Fair enough. Right. Let's start from the beginning. Let's start with AC4. What did everyone think about him, like, early on, like, on the ship? The slave ship?
Hey, he's the guy
He
from
was
the
very
poster.
silent.
I'd like to highlight a comment from Pobobo in the discussion thread, which was, the main thing I was thinking during that sequence was, is there seriously that easy to break out of that foot bar thing? Which I agree with. I thought, like, okay, that seems like it should be a more complicated restraint that they were kind of like handcuffed, changed to, but they're just like, boom, get out of it, which proves that Adewale is a badass. Because he breaks out of that like it's no one's business.
It does. It does prove he's a badass. I guess. Yeah, we see more typical slave restraints in Freedom Cry, which is it's very sad. I actually really liked him straight from the get-go, actually. He was this badass character. He was super cool, you know, just helping us out. And, like, even him and he's, like, expert with ships, and, like... And the reason he was being taken from... I think he's in Trinidad, or near that area. He's being taken... That's why he's on the slave ship. He's being taken to Spain, because he knows English, Spanish, and French. So he's going to be a translator.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think that's revealed in his database.
Oh, okay.
Neat.
And so
Been a
he
while
was
since
super
I've
cool,
seen
and like even those early missions, like straight after we get the Jackdaw, he's telling us about what we need to do, and that was kind of the intro for hunting and repairing your ship, and that was so cool. And like I really liked him as the quartermaster as well. He was very forceful, which I assume didn't need to be, in comparison to Anne Bonny, who barely ever spoke.
I think
One
we've
of the
established
nice-
that was some form of glitch with Anne Bonny not speaking.
I hope
But
so.
yes, agreed to all your other points.
One of the nice things I thought about Adewale throughout the game was that and you get the same thing with Christopher Gist and Rogue, but you have this person who's kind of like a foil to the main character who will provide a different perspective on events that have been happening. Whereas, you talk a lot to historical characters, but the Adewale, you have this person that you can talk about. He can be used to talk about what's going through Edward's mind. I guess he can be used as an exposition tool, but he can also be used as a way to get down a certain way of thinking about an issue or an event. And I think actually early on, especially, he kind of gets you thinking about. He gets you thinking about what he eventually tackles in Freedom Cry, which is slavery, with a couple comments about where his home is and where his nation is and his country called Jackdaw.
Also, to that point, in the same scene of the country called Jackdaw, there's a wonderful exchange between Edward and Adewale, and also to the point of them being foils for each other, where Edward says, so we're going to go storm this cove and do all this stuff and get this money, and when you're rich, will you go back to Africa, Adewale? Adewale's like, dude, I'm from Trinidad. That's like me asking you if you're going to go to Paris when you get rich, and Edward's like, oh, right, slightly racist of me. I think it's like with Gist, too, there's more of that we can talk about eventually. But he, like Gist, is a character that is not afraid to call Edward on his BS, and I thought that made him a very good foil and quartermaster.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him in AC4. Pixie, what did you think about Adi in AC4?
Well, when I first saw him, I thought, hey, look, it's the guy from the posters. He has to grow, in my opinion, he has to grow on you since you don't know that much about him when you first meet him and break out of the ship's brig, whatever the prison was. I felt that he provided some form of, logicalness, insanity to the Jackdaw, where Edward just, goes around stealing money for the fun of it.
Yeah, that's kind of what this other post from this week said. The post titled "Thoughts on Adewale's Character Arc" by Mikhail666. He talked about how Ade's always been the voice of reason, which I thought was very accurate, and what you were just talking about there, which I really like. So that's Ade in AC4. What about Ade in Freedom Cry?
Well, Freedom Cry is that's when you get to play as Ade, and I think the thing that immediately stands out to most people about playing as Adewale is how much more visceral everything feels. He's a much more aggressive character in his actions, and
Cough, cough, the blunderbuss.
yeah, I think the machete personally, because some of the animations there are intense. But I feel like also immediately you get a sense that you kind of get in Black Flag, but you get more in Freedom Cry of his ideals and what he's fighting for, and that's really, I feel like that's really set off with when he wakes up in on Saint-Domingue, and you get, I guess that's the title card, but you get the music in your first the first time you hear the song, the Freedom Cry, and that really kind of, that you just feel, I guess I felt like I knew who he was at that point.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the time on Hispaniola with Ade. And I really liked how he used the machete, because at this time it was generally associated with slaves because it was very commonly used to harvest sugarcane. Mm-hmm. And that's actually in some of the descriptions of the machetes. And I thought it was very interesting how he's now using that to liberate the slaves and to kill the slave owners, which is very, I don't know, something. I really enjoyed it.
That.
And the blunderbuss was so incredibly brutal.
Yeah.
It was so different from Edward's kind of sharpshooter style with his pistols. Now some of us get a spray and pray kind of style from
press triangle to kill everyone.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun.
I just run around and then kind of train them behind me and then just blow them all away. Anything else you want to talk about Ade and Freedom Cry?
Well, he obviously, we haven't actually talked very much about what he actually does, his arc. he develops this relationship with Bastien while he's there, which
A Templar. You might add.
I don't know if she's.
No, she's
Is she a
not
Templar?
I don't
I thought
think
she was
so.
just
I thought
a
she was.
Templar.
She's just a
She works
buyer.
with them, but I don't think she's
Okay, fair
technically a Templar.
I guess
But
the buck.
they have. I guess you do kind of get that. You get a similar foil to use. I mean, I'm using the word again. I'm not quite meaning the same thing, but it's another place where you get conflicting ideals and somewhat different perspective on events from Bastien. And again, I mean, especially in such a very important issue historically as slavery, I think it's really interesting to see. Even there's radicals, I guess, and moderates that are that have very different ideas of how the liberation of slaves should take place.
Yeah. Let's back it up a little for a minute here because we missed something. Towards the end of AC4, at least after this, in the second half, he actually leaves Edward and joins the Assassins before Edward does.
I would like to talk about that, if I may.
Yes, you can. Go ahead,
Okay.
and then you can include that, wrap that into Freedom Cry.
Yeah, so I really like this scene. I think it's very, it really defines his character nicely of being, as we established earlier, a foil of sorts to Edward, which serves to correct him when he errs and messes up. So essentially the scene where Edward leaves, or Adewale leaves Edward after, I don't remember which sequence it is, like 8, 9, or 10 something, but Edward's really down in the dumps, and Adewale is like, okay, Edward, you've been messing up for the past like 5 sequences now, and it's getting on my nerves. I'm going to go chill with the Assassins. When you're ready to be an adult, you can come chill with us, and we'll teach you how to be a proper person. So all of the losses that Edward faces in the game up until that point are all of his friends dying, and that's rough, and those are people he can't get back. But Adewale, who is Edward's very close friend, leaves him, and that is a loss, but he can get Adewale back, and the way to do that is to go to the Assassins. So Adewale sort of knows what he's doing here, I think, in leaving Edward, because he's saying, okay, I know that Edward really does not want me to leave him, but if I do this, I know he will follow me, and I can take him to the Assassins since he wasn't going by himself before. He just went there to use their stuff and get their guys killed by Templars by selling them maps. But I have this opportunity now to get Edward to actually pick himself up and do something by himself and grow as a person. And I really like that scene because it gave Edward the push that he needed after all of the life falling to hell around him to get him to go to the Assassins and then turn it around and see what the Creed's supposed to be about, and then use that for good in the last couple sequences.
I think that that is a good point, and I think that's a large part of it. But I would also argue that viewing it like that somewhat robs Adewale of his agency, and it kind of undercuts his individual ideals, which I feel were a large part of why he went to the Assassins at all. Because, especially as we see in Freedom Cry, he is very idealistic. And his ideals, you can make the same argument about Connor, and I guess that's why you get the comparison between the two. But their ideals are so important to them that even if they go against the Creed or the particular orders of their superiors in the Assassin Order, they stick to their ideals and act in a way to promote and further those ideals. And for Adewale, that becomes, as this person in the thread says, it becomes his highest calling in aiding the Maroons.
Yeah,
and
as Liam said in Rogue, he is pretty much the embodiment of the Creed, the epitome of the Creed.
Yes.
In every way. He freed hundreds of slaves, he fought for freedom. We can assume a lot of his life before he went back and focused on the Assassins again. He probably stayed in Hispaniola quite a while.
But McCracKenway, to your point, if I may, I do agree for the most part. I think he would have ended up an assassin either way. But the way he went about it, I think to give Adewale some agency here, he actively chose the best possible way to go about joining the Assassins, because he, A, went and joined the Assassins, but B, did it in a way that got Edward to come too. Because he could have said, Edward, come on, let's go join the Assassins, and it wouldn't really have gotten them anywhere. But in leaving, he himself goes, and he also kicks Edward into gear. So I would agree that it was Adewale's calling to join the Assassins, but the way he went about it specifically was calculated and for the benefit of both him and Edward.
Pixie, do you have anything to say about Ade and Freedom Cry Ade and the Assassins?
If I recall correctly, there was this one mission where I think her name's Bastine convinces Addie to dress up as a slave, and I don't think Addie was comfortable with doing that at first.
Oh yeah,
probably because it brought back some memories.
I remember that. And he mentioned how I think it was something about him being a slave, and she was like, "But all your brothers and the people you're fighting for are slaves. Do you think more of them?" That was a very interesting mission. You're right. I actually forgot about it. Thanks for bringing that up.
Another thing, when he goes to assassinate the governor, I found that, when you do eventually kill him, there was lots of anger built up in Addie and just released it all into, the poor governor's gut with his,
yeah.
machete.
That was probably the most brutal.
I used the hot poker.
White room.
Yeah, I did that mission, I think, 4 times to make sure that I'd be able to use the hot poker on him and do it the right way, because I knew I needed to brand this guy for karmic justice.
It was interesting about the governor. I didn't feel like the governor was characterized very much.
No.
Like, in truth, you don't see him very often. You hear him a couple times, but you don't get a sense of who he is really until after you've killed him. But I feel that for me, going into that last part, I was, like, good villains in a lot of things are ones you want, like, you like hating and you are driven, like, in games at least, you have this desire to go give them what for, like, and I think, because I felt that for the governor, even though he wasn't characterized very well, I think what it was that he became, in that DLC, kind of the embodiment of the institution of slavery.
Yeah.
Especially actually after, I think it's the mission right before that, with the sinking slave ships, and that's an action that the governor did that directly, like, he planned it out and directly caused the loss of life.
That was not a very
That was a tough
happy
scene.
time.
Yeah, and that's why, like, you do have this kind of this unhealthy like revenge feeling, like, especially with using, if you go use the hot poker and, like, are driven to use the hot poker to kill him, then I feel that the reason that why using the hot poker is so satisfying is because it's giving him a taste of his own medicine, which is very much, like, characteristic of revenge fantasy.
Oh, it was very fun when stab him through the chest with that poker. Very satisfying.
Yeah. And then we skip ahead about 20 years to Rogue.
Which, by the way, spoilers, because Rogue.
Oh, yes. This is Rogue.
This is a very recent game.
Everything spoilers.
Aries, I see you have something to say about Adewale and Rogue.
Yes. I liked the way he was introduced, because I think the way that the characters reacted to his appearance parallels the way that we as players reacted. So when he shows up, Achilles is like, "Oh, hey, Adewale, how's it going? It's been so long. It's good to see you." And to me, at least, I felt the same way. Like, "Oh my God, hey, Adewale, how's it going? I haven't seen you in like 2 games." So that was, I thought that was neat. And then also Liam leans over to Shade and he's like, "Dude, that guy's a living legend. He like is the Creed. He's such a badass. He freed all those slaves." And it kind of gets to the 2 points of like, "Hey, Adewale, it's good to see you again. You're a cool guy. I miss playing as you." And also, like, damn, you're serious badass, Adewale. So I liked how the way the characters think of him very much parallels how we think of him in kind of the metaverse.
Yeah. I really enjoyed him in Rogue. I thought he was like the old badass. He's like proven himself and stuff. He's kind of like Achilles in AC3, yet less cynical and
actually does stuff.
He's less broken leg.
I really like one of the...
Ooh, too soon.
One of the things, when Ade initially arrives, one of the things that... Because, he's a living legend, he does all this great stuff. One of the things I think reinforced that was that he immediately sat down to discuss business with Achilles.
Yeah.
Like, you have the sense that things are going on and things are happening before the game even really starts.
Yeah. I also really liked... We talk about his outfit real quick. Some visuals. I really liked him in AC4. I thought that he looked very piratey, and he fit in with all the others. And in Freedom Cry, he had a very unique assassin outfit, which I thought fit him quite well because it was like it had no sleeves or anything, so you could just see his massive muscles and stuff. And then in Rogue, it was pretty much the same outfit, yet he just like added this undershirt with this for the sleeves and things, so he was a bit older.
If I could just change one thing about anything in this games, it'd be give him a cooler fight scene in Rogue.
Oh yeah,
I found I liked how they used him throughout the story. He pops up in certain key events, but then when you fight him, it was annoying.
Yeah,
and then it was sad. And then I didn't really want to play.
I really liked his discussion between him and Hatham as well.
Oh, it wasn't a discussion; it was a shouting match.
Well, yeah, but it was
one of the things.
There was a post about that on the AC server that pretty much exactly what someone wanted to hear, and that was pretty much exactly what was in the game.
This is usually Ares' role because he's always the one talking about how symbolic characters are in various things to the main characters. The thing that occurs to me about Adewale is it's at a certain point you know Adewale is going to die and you're probably going to kill him as Shay, and
I think everyone knew, like, AC Rogues announced, "Oh, we're gonna go kill Adewale."
Yeah, especially when we saw him on the boat. When we saw that Adewale was in Rogue, it was like we're going to have to kill him, right?
Yep.
And everyone was really sad, but I think that Shay killed Adewale, and as Adewale is, as said by, Liam, the living embodiment of the creed. That's. Shay couldn't have gone back before, but then he is fully a Templar at that point. He has destroyed the living embodiment of the creed. Even like I felt like Adewale, if anybody, would maybe understand Shay's perspective, at least in the final cutscene, but he calls him a monster, and I think that is because their ideals are so opposed at that point.
Yeah. Agree.
To that point, this is another discussion that we won't get into now, but I want to say I would love to have the discussion of what would happen if Connor and Shay were to have a conversation.
Yes.
Look forward to that in the future.
As most of you know by now, the next Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Chronicles, is coming, the first chapter of that next game is coming this Tuesday for North America, April 21st and April 22nd for Europe, suck it, which is going to be called Assassin's Creed Chronicles China, starring Xiao Yun from Embers.
Xiao Jun.
Actually, in Embers they use Yun a lot.
Yeah, which with modern, I don't know how long it's been used, but with modern transliteration from Chinese using English characters, her name is spelled entirely incorrectly. But
yes,
that's neither here nor there.
About that one time. But in Embers they use Yun, which is what I'm going with.
Which would be spelled differently, and so would Xiao, but whatever.
Yeah. So let's get started with some predictions here. But I just said we'll get started. But before we get started, this week we've had a confirmation on the Embers Rewatch livestream with Richard Faris, the Assassin's Creed series narrative director, I believe he is, that the box in Embers and that Xiao Yun has is the exact same box as the one in Freedom Cry and Rogue.
Yay, Internet, we did it.
There was a few theories because of the inconsistency between the size and shape and aesthetics of the box between the three, and so that was the main reason why people thought that they may have been different, but that has been incorrect, apparently. So let's talk predictions. Are there any outlandish predictions that anyone wants to make? I think that we're going to get speedruns out of this game. And I'm going to definitely participate.
It definitely seems geared that way already. I think I've seen something like level ratings, I guess. So there will be pure speedruns. There will be speedruns for pure stealth or...
Yeah. There are 3 main ranks, I believe. Well, there's the gold, silver, and bronze for each one. And you get, I think it's Ghost or Phantom or something like that for weren't detected and didn't kill anyone. Assassin if you killed a ton of people but didn't get detected. And then Brawler if you got detected and killed a bunch of people. So that's, I believe, what you're meaning. So maybe there'll be like gold, 3 minutes 25 seconds
Yeah.
assassin run.
I'd be interested to see if there is like just because of how popular speedrunning is at the moment, whether there's a specific mode set for speedrunning, because there are things that that like people will accept as being slightly changed for speedrunning. For instance, in the game Axiom Verge, there's a speedrun mode which standardizes randomized elements.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize
Yeah.
Axiom Verge had a speedrun mode. I haven't heard of that before. I haven't heard of a game having a speedrun mode before, but that sounds interesting.
But to that point, you said it randomizes certain or it standardizes certain random elements.
Yeah.
Does Chronicles have any randomized elements to be
wouldn't
standardized?
know.
I would say no.
That's the only.
I don't think he's meaning
only the
specifically taking what Axiom Verge did, but maybe there's going to be some slight tweaks to the game to fit in better with speedrunners.
I would love, especially since there's rankings, it would
Yeah.
be cool to see. I mean, people talk about difficulty curves for AC all the time and like different difficulties. It would be really interesting to see, I guess, levels with, I guess, certain modifiers on them, or like, you know, maybe a level will have more guards, or guards will see you faster, or their vision cones will be more. And then you have to like really step up your game to get through it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I believe I'm probably gonna speedrun some, try and beat some guys. I know there's a timer on there, so it could very easily be speedrun.
Yeah, and on the gameplay video that we saw a couple weeks back when it was first unveiled, UB himself said, "We're looking forward to seeing a lot of speedruns on certain levels because there are some levels that are designed with speedrunning specifically in mind."
No, the
like the escape from the boat when it's on fire?
Yes, I don't believe that's designed for speedrunning specifically. It's just I think
it's designed to be done
time specific.
It's time specific. You're supposed to keep running forward.
Yeah.
All the time.
Those are fun. I do though. Like I played Mirror's Edge at least enough. I think Ares had played it a little bit, and I played it at least enough to beat some of Ares' times on like the online.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. I was not good at that game.
No, it was hard. I was trying to like, because there were some achievements for getting certain star ratings on things, and to get like the max star rating on a lot of them, requires absolute perfection and like nothing less, even on like some of the really early ones.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of achievements, the achievements list for Chronicles.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm good at transitions. Let me do my thing.
No, you're not. That was not a good transition.
Well,
I'm literally talking about achievements.
Hey.
Calm down.
I'm going in order here. Everybody stop, okay? We're going to go in order here, okay?
Aww.
It's very specifically laid out. So we talked predictions. We talked predictions and expectations. Anyone hoping for any aspects? Like anything you want to see in particular?
She will not open the box. You need lightning for that.
Well, do we know that it wasn't broken at some point?
Ooh.
Oh.
We don't.
Plot twist, she breaks the box at the end.
Drops it.
Yeah. Oh no! The final cutscene is
I'm
her
not
tripping
looking
on a rock
forward
and
to... I read that there's going to be some eunuchs that we have to face. The tigers are eunuchs, which I'm not looking forward to because I'm going to get some Forsaken flashbacks.
Oh god.
I'm going to cry all over the place.
Oh god. Poor guy.
Let's not spoil anything.
Everyone who's read Forsaken knows exactly what we're talking about, and you're cryptic
haven't read
right
Forsaken? Read Forsaken.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I'm not looking forward to that. But and there's several concubines. Maybe there's like a we haven't seen any kind of social stealth aspect from Chronicles yet, but we have had lots of concept art of concubines.
There
so maybe
has been. They've said that there's a social stealth.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard that there will be social stealth in crowds.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen any of it yet, but it'll be there.
Yeah, we've only seen those two levels: the escaping the docks one and that stealth one.
Speaking of concubines,
No, what?
I was going over some new information. Turns out that one of her Xiao Jun Yun old concubine friends is Empress, and will have a role in the game.
Oh, no way.
Yes way.
That's interesting.
Huh.
I didn't know
I
that.
wonder how that was that.
That's odd. Huh, okay.
That's what it says here. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
I didn't make this up. I swear.
Speaking of old friends, see that Aries? That's how you do it. Ezio will be in the game,
No, you ruined it.
and he's going to have a horrible, horrible voice that no one's gonna like.
Yeah, if you've seen the gameplay, you've probably seen the training sequences, which are kind of like little white room loading screen things. Ezio's spouting something at Xiaoyun, and it sounds...
Gargling marbles.
It sounds bad, and I know that getting Roger Craig Smith again must have been very difficult, which is why they ended up going with someone else.
I
But
can completely understand it. Like,
I would have rather just had him stand there silently.
Well, it's hard. It's hard
It's
to
being
talk
developed
when you're dead.
in the UK by Climax. There's probably budgeting issues. Roger Craig Smith's probably working on some other games. Contractual issues. There's plenty of reasons why they didn't, but they definitely could have picked someone better than this shit.
Does he still do voices for Sonic the Hedgehog? I mean, I know they redid it, but I don't know if he used to.
He's working on the TV show at the moment.
Oh, really?
Sonic the Hedgehog Chronicles. Sonic the Hedgehog Chronicles.
No,
what do they have in common?
Sonic the Hedgehog Chronicles Scrap Brain Zone.
No, and Batman. He's also working on Batman. Because Sonic originally recently just rebooted to Sonic.
I hear that the Sonic TV show is okay.
Oh my god.
The games are still terrible, but
we should get Neo Nugget to come on and talk to us about Sonic. He's a big Sonic fan. Okay, but yeah, Ezio in the game, his voice sucks. They probably should have picked someone better than just some old guy that tries to put on a bad Italian accent.
Although, fun fact,
he sounds like
during
Mario.
an interview for before Revelations, Roger Craig Smith said that his Ezio voice was his interpretation of a bad Italian accent.
Yes.
I think he said bad Spanish accent, actually. No, it was bad specific actor.
Right, yeah. Oh, God.
The guy in Spy Kids.
Who knows?
Okay. Yeah. But he also had...
Antonio Banderas!
Okay.
Yes.
He also... Yeah. Well, Roger Craig Smith also had several, like, acting coaches and people to help him pronounce the words correctly. Well, this guy clearly had none of that. Climax probably just got some old guy off the street to go, can you speak
I feel like the guy's listening to this podcast and he's like, oh, not that he's listening to this podcast, but still.
I'll give him love. I thought he was
When
great.
I find out your name, I will send you an apology letter.
I'm going to send you Anthrax.
Whoa! Cool.
Okay, let's move on next.
Soon. Kind of.
I don't think that's too far at all. He ruined my character. Next up on the list of things to talk about is Uplay. We know we have several confirmed Uplay actions and rewards here. If you will check out the link in the doc. Boyos. Anyone want to talk about that? I can't see it because it's too small.
Right?
I'll find it.
Actually,
there's one where you earn. There's 3 where you earn 10 Uplay points. 1 where you earn 20 Uplay points, 1 where you earn 30 Uplay points, and 1 where you earn 40 Uplay points.
I've mostly stopped using Uplay points for anything.
I will get some of the stuff.
There was one pistol in Far Cry 4 that was worth it. Everything else, no.
No, actually, Unity. I mean, I was already kind of ahead on Uplay points, but the way they restructured the Uplay points so that you had more Uplay points in Unity. And they were worth less in Unity. They're still worth the same in previous games. So I have like over 400 now. And going back to past games, it's like, well, I can just unlock all this stuff now. I don't need to do anything.
So here we have actions that we're going to take a look at real quick.
Yeah.
There's some basic ones like assassinations, killing the high-profile targets.
Let's see.
They appear to be... Yeah, it's just basically assassinate a guard and then assassinate all the other ones. And then... So they're probably the same amount of sequences, right? Do you think?
I think there's 12.
I heard there's 12 sequences, but I think there's either a single or double missions.
That would make sense, because I'd assume that this game would be somewhere in the realm of, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours.
Yeah. Well, actually, didn't I say like 12?
Oh, really?
Well, I remember that from
There's
Alex
just one
Mancio's.
achievement that I don't know if this is confirmed.
We're going to get to that in a second,
one of them,
Pixie. Yeah.
And
then the last action is Escape Artist, which is Escape the Forbidden City. Now, for those who don't know, and apparently I didn't realize that there were people who don't know, but the Forbidden City is like the Chinese royal city. It's the area surrounding the royal palace. It's not First Civ related, as some people thought. And now
No.
let's take a look at the rewards.
The achievements or the rewards.
Yeah.
I'm
There's the Ezio attire, which that means that there's different outfits in the game, which could be very interesting. I didn't expect that in any way.
Nor did I, actually.
But maybe there's
That's
something
nice,
for
though.
like finishing the game. Maybe there's something in addition to that, which
that'll be good
Cool.
because like the way that I mean, this will be when we talk about achievements, but the way the achievements are, it seems like it's going to be a game that you're going to have to do multiple playthroughs to get a lot of the achievements.
that's
Which is
exciting.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
We
glad.
have the legendary swords of this guy, Yang Ming Dao.
He is actually the one who inducted Xiao Zhen to the Assassins.
Oh yeah.
Actually, that's cool. And he was a real character, and he died. So.
He was the Chinese mentor at the time. And then we have the character concept art, wallpaper, some general concept art, which we've already seen most of that. I don't know why you would get some more of it, but okay. And we also have the main theme track from the soundtrack, which is very cool.
Have we heard any of the soundtrack yet? I don't think any of it's come out.
Nothing's been released individually, but we have heard it in gameplay,
Gotcha.
as you know.
Will it be released? Do we know if it will be released individually?
All the other games have been.
I would
like
suspect.
on Spotify
Yeah.
and Bandcamp and stuff by the artists.
What they may elect to do is to release it as one thing for all the Chronicles games, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Depending on how many tracks there actually are per game.
I mean, it would take a while. Although I don't know, it depends. I've seen games do DLC soundtracks as like, I guess EPs. Just like 4 or 5.
How do they treat
Freedom Cry was its own thing.
Yeah.
But like even like with fewer tracks than that, I mean, Freedom Cry had a lot of tracks. I got all the Mass Effect soundtracks, and they had little soundtracks that were 4 or 5 songs total.
Oh, that's what they call it. I'm just looking at the achievements now. Remember how I said how there's like the
now you're
ranks?
looking at the achievements.
Yes, now we're on to the achievements. I mentioned how there was like the Ghost and then there's Assassin and Brawler. It's not Ghost or Phantom, it's Shadow.
Yes.
Which probably fits, because Ghost
Shadow,
is actually
Gold,
what the
Bastard.
rank is called in Dishonored. When you get past everything. So, just looking at the achievements here.
It's definitely going to require multiple playthroughs because there's a trophy that is complete every memory in the plus or plus hard game modes. That's the way it's meant to be. So it's going to require at least 3 playthroughs.
Interesting. So just looking at it here, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Smash and stab, kill 100 enemies in combat. That's pretty. I like that. I like those ones where you have to kill a bunch of people. No witnesses, assassinate 100 enemies. Low blow, slide, assassinate 25 enemies. The invisible woman, shadow gold past 30 patrols. Now you see me, escape alerts 30 times.
There's one further down. We don't have to list out all the achievements. People can go look them up.
I'm going to put up a picture for the video.
There's one called I Fear No One. Just kill 100 enemies using the Helix kill.
Now, what is that Helix kill is the question.
We appear to have some technical issues with Lost Pixie.
Oh no. Pixie, no. Well, he may or may not be on his way back here. What I think the Helix kill might have something to do with is a modified version of the Animus hack for multiplayer. It sounds fairly similar in name, at least. But that was, in multiplayer, if you got a certain kill streak, you could click a button and then someone on the other side of the map would die. So that may have something to do with that. Although we have no real way to know or predict.
Here there's Concubine Savior. Save all the concubines in memory sequence 9. That could be interesting. Like, where is that from? Like in maybe even the AC Unity mission where you kill Madame Levesque. There's how you save the prisoners. So maybe it's just
Oh yeah, you can. It's a sequence where you chase the boat, but you.
Oh right.
Where you go through the Palais de.
Yeah.
What is it called?
I keep forgetting that there are actually characters in Unity.
Yeah, there are.
Palais de Luxembourg.
There are prisoners you can rescue to help you out, and then there's also one of the full sync requirements is to free her husband from a room upstairs.
Yeah, so I think it may be similar to that. Just like you find cages with the concubines and you just let them out and they run away.
Smash them. Just
looking at the other ones here. Yeah, kill 100 enemies using the Helix kill. That could be very interesting.
And 100, that's a pretty big number, so this seems like it'll be a fairly common thing you're able to do.
Yeah.
Or it might count it over multiple playthroughs as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
Some games do
And
that, some games
we
don't.
have Tell Me a Story, open all scroll chests, shiny, collect all. I believe that's a Firefly reference. Collect all the
Wait,
Animus
let's get
shards.
back to the scroll chests. What are those? I think they
Yeah,
might be
exactly.
something to do
We
with
know both of those.
the letters you could get in AC Rogue if you dug up the little message in the
Letters?
bottle. I feel like it would have
Those are-
little bits of
The
story
waters.
exposition in them.
Yeah,
That'd be
those
great.
were like between Achilles and stuff like that. Those ones. Both of these are shiny, collect all Animus shards, and Tell Me a Story, open all scroll chests. Are both collectibles which you've seen briefly and already. I believe the Animus shards go to like % completion.
Yeah, and nothing else.
Well,
That's
Typical
they
Animus
did-
shards.
In Rogue, they did allow us to see the message from Juno.
True.
That's true.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else? Pixie, anything you'd like to add? You're back. You were lost, but am now found.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. It's that.
Yeah,
Oh, and her voice was horrible in Embers. Just saying.
Oh yeah, it was very like stereotypy.
Stereotypical.
That's the word.
But I would agree. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I forgot that this is actually coming out on Tuesday, so
Hype.
it'll be interesting.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're being rammed by the hype train, unsuspectingly.
Legend has it has no brakes.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Well, I think that wraps up the episode for this week. Thanks for joining us, Pixel.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, and I very, very much enjoyed it, especially with our major sidetracking.
It was great to have you. The music used in the episode can be found in the description, along with timestamps for everything we discussed, if I remember to do that. As usual, you can reach us on the Assassin's Creed subreddit, which is assassinscreed.reddit.com, or reddit.com/r/Assassin's Creed, as well as on Twitter and through our email, animusislandpodcast@gmail.com. Next week, we're joined by Reno, or Rhino the Bouncer, to ask him how we pronounce his name.
I think it's Rhino the Bouncer.
It's Reno. He
The
said
legend
Reno.
will be revealed.
He said Reno, but it's spelled Rhino. I don't know. That's why we're going to ask him. He's from the Ubisoft forums, his Facebook page, the lore pages, and Twitter. We will be discussing Assassin's Creed Chronicles China because then it will be out. Yay!
Yay!
If you'd like to be a
Yay!
guest or would like to ask us a question to answer on the show, then you can contact us in any of the ways listed or in any ways listed in the description. Once again, thanks for joining us and have a good night.